back. You're watching Overdrive. Let's drive straight into Autoselector with Bertrand Dsouza. Hi Bert, thanks for joining us. Our first question comes into us from Praveen Damecha. He's planning to buy himself his first car. Congratulations, Praveen. He's got a budget of about 5 lakh rupees. His monthly usage will be about 500 kilometers. Priorities for Praveen: mileage and low-cost maintenance. He's confused between the Maruti Wagon R VXI and the Hyundai i10. He also wants to know the difference between the i10 and the i10 1.2 Kappa Magna. Any better alternatives that you would suggest for him within this range?
Well, Praveen, both the Wagon R and the i10, well, they are suitably impressive cars for that budget. They're very comfortable to drive altogether, but the i10 is just that slightly bit more contemporary, a little more refined, a little more luxurious on the inside than the Wagon R. It's also got a little more space, except for the headroom bit, which the Wagon R, well, there's no denying, definitely offers this better sense of space because of that taller headroom. However, the i10 overall is a nicer car to drive, much more agile, much more competent, much more stable and dynamic both in the city and if you decide to take it outside as well. Now, you're not going to be doing a lot of mileage, so in the city, 500 kilometers, the i10 fits your bill perfectly. On the i10 and the i10 1.2 Kappa, the Kappa is a more contemporary engine, so it's a bit more refined, a little more efficient and a little more powerful as well. So you will definitely enjoy that engine more.
Okay, but our next question comes into us from Suresh. He writes in saying he's the owner of a Toyota Camry. He's been driving that for the past 6 years, but now has retired and will be traveling between Bengaluru to his holiday home in the hills for up to 15 days a month. Lucky you, Suresh. Now, he wants to replace the Camry with a comfortable SUV. He's got a budget of about 25 lakh rupees. It will be chauffeur driven, and so comfort and space is a major factor for him. What would you suggest, Bert?
Well, Suresh, there are two choices ahead of you. On the one hand, there is the Hyundai Santa Fe. On the other, there is the Toyota Fortuner. Now, since you are already associated with the Toyota brand thanks to your Camry, the Fortuner, well, it's a direct extension of that brand. Now, since you are moving into the hills, you've retired, you're looking for luxury and comfort, and well, the Hyundai Santa Fe offers far more of that than the Toyota Fortuner. Now, the Santa Fe is a monocoque chassis, so it's a lot more nimbler, it's a lot more agile, it's a lot more composed and dynamic, especially in the hills. It's also a lot more comfortable. Ride quality, luxuriousness within that cabin, spaciousness, feature-wise, it's a lot richer than the Fortuner. So, in that way, well, the Santa Fe is a nice option to retire with. But what the Fortuner offers as an advantage is its four-wheel drive powertrain with low ratio. Now, since you are moving into the hills, it's probable that on a weekend you might want to venture way beyond where the tarmac extends, and in that case the Fortuner is the SUV that will take you into the back of beyond, not the Santa Fe, and that's the only advantage that the Fortuner has over the Santa Fe. Now, it's up to you what you want to choose, whether you want to choose comfort and luxury on the roads, on the twisties of those hills, or you want to go into the back of beyond, enjoy your weekends, your partying, and have fun with the Fortuner there.
Our final question this week, Bud, is especially interesting, and it comes into us from Rishabh Agarwal. He writes in saying he wants to know what power to weight ratio is. He's heard a lot of reviewers talking and writing about good and bad power to weight ratio. What does it mean exactly, and what is a good ratio to have in a vehicle? Go for it, Bud.
Power to weight, well, essentially it is the power generated by an engine divided by the weight of the car that engine resides in. Now, usually this is the curb weight of the car, so it includes the weight of the engine, transmission and everything except for the driver and certain fluids. Now, why is this necessary? Well, a stronger power to weight ratio clearly indicates that engine requires less effort to generate momentum in that car. So what this gives you is better efficiency and better performance. Now, we usually like power to weight ratios that are 100 PS per ton and more than that. 120, 140 are usually very, very superior. That also depends on, now this factor depends on how much power that engine generates and how much lesser the weight of the car is. So the more powerful engine and the lighter the weight of the car always generates better power to weight ratios.
All right, with that, it is time for us to wrap up Autoselector, but do remember to send us your questions to helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. We'll get Bert to answer them for you. On that note, it is time now for us to wrap up everything that's hot and happening in the world of auto, and the biggest news this week is the steepest petrol price hike that we've seen, in excess of 7 rupees a litre. Now, this was coming. The Prime Minister, the Finance Minister had been building the grounds for that. Remember, petrol is a deregulated commodity, which means that an oil company like IOC or HPCL is free to hike prices when international crude prices move. But because of political sensitivities, the government didn't allow these companies to hike petrol prices since December last year, and which is why we're now burdened with an over 7 rupee a litre hike in petrol, even when globally crude prices have come off very, very sharply. The big question is, will the government be as aggressive on diesel? Remember, the government's fiscal math goes awry because of the problems it faces on hiking diesel, LPG and kerosene prices. It's easy to pass on the hike to consumers in petrol because it's seen as the elitist commodity. The government has not had the political will or the courage to do the same for diesel, LPG and kerosene. But brace yourself for more hikes, and let's just hope that internationally crude prices continue to cool off and the government gets serious about rationalizing taxes. This is one of the most heavily taxed sectors in this country. Let's hope that we actually see some relief on that front.